This is Cheick Touré, an 18-year-old Senegalese player that was scouted and offered a deal almost impossible to refuse. Travel to Ghana, from there you head to Morocco, and from there, the big leagues await. European football. A one-way ticket to becoming the next Mbappe, the next Salah, the next Haaland, perhaps the next Edouard Mendy, his fellow countryman. But the promise was a mirage. Once Cheick arrived in Ghana, he was held at ransom, forced to contact his family back home and beg for money under duress. His family, believing they were buying his freedom and future, sent what they could to a number traced to Burkina Faso, but evidently, it seems it was not enough. Cheick Touré's body was found lifeless in Ghana in October of 2025. This tragic tale comes at a time where several young Senegalese footballers are being targeted by fake scout extortion networks reported to be based in Ghana. Cheick Touré's tragedy is one of the worst to be publicized, but it is one example in a massive industrial trade in human hope. In 2022, the United Nations reported that well over 15,000 young players from West Africa alone are estimated to be trafficked annually to Europe.
There is an increasing concern about human trafficking in sport. UNODC has documented instances of trafficking in football, with agents taking a large share of the profits made by the athletes. This activity usually involves children who can be easily deceived.
And they don't have to be African. Almost every high-level footballer from a disadvantaged background has spoken about this to some extent. But in terms of the Africans, we have Didier Drogba, Samuel Eto'o, Emmanuel Adebayo. Many of your favorite stars have likely come across bad actors of this nature at some point, and who knows how close they were to becoming a statistic. Hello everyone, hope you're well, welcome back. Probably already noticed that this video is a lot darker than most of the videos that you used to be seeing on the Football Iconic channel, and there is a reason for this. A couple of weeks ago, I was contacted by someone seeking to shed some light on the more darker sides that plague this game that we all love. That someone was Chris Dalby, an investigative journalist and founder and editor of the Sports and Crime Briefing. He specializes in covering stories just like this one.
You talk to European clubs and European federations and European enforcement, and they're like, yeah, we've heard about it. We know it happens. It's a tragedy, but there's other problems in football. You go to West Africa and everybody knows about it. Every single player I spoke to in Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali has either been scammed or been contacted or knows someone who's been scammed. We have players who just disappear overnight because they decide to go to Europe and trust the scammer.
A lot of the information and research presented in this video has been adopted from his brilliant work, and we'll be hearing from him a bit later on in this video. But before we go into those finer details, I think it's important for us to peel back a few layers and understand why this cycle persists and why these young men and women keep falling into schemes like this. It all boils down to 5 harsh truths. Firstly, the lure is immense. If you're a talented footballer in Nigeria, your best professional salary in the top flight division might be around $400 a month. Remember, the dream is to be the next Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Samuel Eto'o, to earn in a month what your entire extended family combined cannot earn in a lifetime. This desperation leads to the second truth, the financial sink. To secure a visa, which is oftentimes fraudulent, or pay for that initial trip, families do desperate things. We frequently hear stories about families selling businesses, taking out huge loans they'll never be able to pay back, selling their only plot of lands, all for a couple $1,000s. I turn to Chris to help explain the absence of law enforcement here. So, Chris, we have families losing everything, yet the police, they aren't really doing anything about this. Why is that?
It's a tragedy of the economics of crime. The profits generated from football trafficking, if you look at it from each individual family, it's devastating. But on the global scale, it's very small. So it's considered too small to care about. International law enforcement, like Interpol, is prioritizing operations that are going to have the most bang for their buck. So illegal gambling and sports and crime in general is estimated at $1.7 trillion a year. So they're looking to take a big bite out of that. And the cost of an individual scam falls below the level that they're going to prioritize.
Which brings us to the third point, and really why families are willing to take this risk. Traffickers are masters of sophisticated deception. These aren't shady figures lurking in an alley. They are refined. They claim to be based in Europe. They prey on people who don't know any better, showing parents what seem to be compelling evidence, papers, ID cards, and photos of other players that they have allegedly already supported all the way through to Europe. One such example is that of Alexei Mirontsev. Mirontsev Mironcев operates primarily through Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. He claims to be a globe-trotting agent who can make European dreams come true, although since writing this video his Instagram appears to be inactive. He carefully crafts an image of a devout Muslim and successful agent, posting photos of players signing contracts. Here's a photo from the 20th of August 2025. In it is a player that some Villa fans might recognize. This is Vinny Hayward, a rising talent at Aston Villa, pen in hand, signing a contract. Mironcев claims to have had a hand in the deal to some extent. Quote, "Thank you for trusting in me. Hashtag Yankees. Hashtag Eminem." In July 2025, he posted an ad offering trials with Real Madrid, Ajax, and Malaga, offering signing-on bonuses up to 400,000 euros. I think we're all thinking the same thing. None of us were aware that these clubs recruited through Facebook flyers, and that's because they don't. All of this is a fantasy. Vinny Hayward has been in Aston Villa's academy for years and signed professionally 6 months before this Facebook post in February. This is easily verifiable via the club's own website. In fact, that's where the image was taken from. The pictures of Mironcев we all see here are in fact not Mironcев at all. His entire online persona is ripped off Andrei Grushin, a real former Russian footballer who's been working as an agent since about 2014. He seemingly does a lot of work around Eastern Europe and Asia, which explains why these globe-trotting photos exist. The harsh reality is that the vast majority of footballing agents outside of the mega ones that we all know about can have their online personas stolen and add a little bit of authenticity or legitimacy to their claims of being able to take these players to the top.
The thing is, FIFA kind of helped to get this scam economy where it is. Not directly, of course. In 2015, they scrapped their agent licensing regime, which was like the gold standard to enter the profession. From the minute that happened, you had already some dubious, rather scummy individuals becoming professional football agents. But then after that, the ability to enforce those regulations, to check on agent diplomas, even to give them out, is not a FIFA decision. They've put a standard, and it's up to the national federations to enforce them. I don't need to tell you how corrupt national federations are across Africa, and they really have other things to worry about than fake agents. So right now, FIFA has a wonderful get out of jail free card. They can issue their condolences. They say they've got regulations out. They maintain a database of licensed agents, and that's all they're going to do. When Sheikh Toure was killed in October, the first player that we recorded recently to have been murdered because of a football agent scam, FIFA issued a very nice statement offering their condolences and saying it was a tragedy and saying it shouldn't happen again. And as far as I can see, that's where their help ended.
Like I said earlier, they target desperate families. So to you may see this Facebook post as pretty easy to see past the mirage, but to somebody who's banked their entire future and livelihood and their family's future on this dream, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So these scammers claim they can deliver on the promise, but before any paperwork, players have to pay, often thousands of pounds, euros, dollars, whatever denomination, for invitation letters, visas, and flights. If they hesitate, they're cut off. No money, no trial. This is how similar predators trapped Nigerian footballer Jerry Moses. In 2022, he was contacted by a Serbian-based quote-unquote agent that promised him a life of luxury and open doors, all for $1,500 paid for by a sponsor per month. The dream never materialized. He was shipped off to a lower-level Serbian side with no senior squad and seemingly no intention to ever get him to one. As per his own social media, he was already in Serbia by December 2022, making him 15, making this transfer illegal under FIFA's rules on international rules on movement of minors. He was very active on social media, posted several videos on TikTok around being scouted, even many encouraging other young Africans to meet with his agent. But it seems this was a facade. Once his sponsor realized a pro contract was not coming, they refused to pay the agent and the mask came off. He was beaten as his usefulness to the agent came to an end. A man by the name of Ivan Trajkovic has been reported as the agent that made all of this happen. However, the Nigerian Football Federation reportedly verified with FIFA that Trajkovic holds no valid agent license of any kind. Thankfully for Moses, through his social media presence, he was able to shed light on the situation and has since safely traveled home. It's horrible to say given the circumstances, but Jerry Moses was incredibly lucky. However, for the 15,000 plus I mentioned at the start who are victims of these scams, a happy ending is incredibly rare. The sheer scale of this abuse, thousands of victims, turns this into essentially a crime without punishment. We've already gone over the low barrier of entry required to enter this profession, or at the very least to pretend like you can play the part. But what this all seems to come back to on a global level are the rules and regulations and the inconsistencies in enforcing them.
National associations have to be the ones to step into the void and enforce these rules, but it results in a patchwork of enforcement. Even in Europe, where a lot of these fake agents are based, there's been really a lack of attention and a lack of enforcement, not only by federations, but even by law enforcement. Only when an agent sticks his head a bit too far out of the hole, scams the wrong person, and he gets reported, then you get an investigation. But cracking down as a whole is very difficult.
Like I said, this is a crime of extreme proportion and scale. It's by no means an African problem. Anybody from anywhere in a position of desperation can and do fall victims to these scams. They don't need to be from Lagos, they could be from London, Lisbon, Lima, or Los Angeles. And the entire operation is somewhat protected by the complete impunity afforded by law enforcement neglect and, tragically, FIFA's own regulatory failures. The crime is simple. Exploit a dream, steal the money, abandon the victim. The tragedy is that the only thing separating the next Cheick Toure from a safe pathway to Europe is institutional will. The structural flaws are known. The failure to act is a choice. And there we have it. Let me know what feasible specific measures you think should be implemented to protect these young players. Let us know in the comments. Adding on to that, I implore you to take a look at Chris's body of work over at Sports and Crime Briefing. All the links can be found in the description. As I noted, these aren't the sort of videos that we usually make on this channel, but being African myself and having heard stories like this all the time growing up, when Chris contacted me, it was a pretty easy decision to make this sort of video at some point. And there we have it. Let me know what you all thought of the video. Thank you for watching. Hope you're doing well. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.